Morning, everybody. Happy Sunday to those who observe, whatever that means. I don't know. Sometimes I just say things. But yeah, another Sunday morning. Finally, feels like I'm getting into more of a rhythm doing these little videos. So excited about that. Excited to keep this going. Because yeah, another Sunday morning, I find myself not in church. Though, I guess I'm kind of wearing a church. I don't know. I mean, I'm being the church, embodying it, like kind of literally, like I'm embodying the shirt. I don't know. Anyway, so this is kind of a follow-up, I guess, to the video I made last week about Christianity and falsifiability. And so, encourage you to go back and watch that one if you haven't yet. I liked it. And a few other people seem to as well. It turned out being a bit longer than I anticipated, so sorry about that, maybe, unless you like it that way, in which case you're welcome. But it's kind of funny, with as long as it was, like I didn't even really get to what I'd originally intended for that video, and that's actually what today's little video is about, is actually what I originally meant to talk about, because I was talking about things like falsifiability and different claims in the Bible or in Christianity that people will make, but there doesn't seem to be any way for it to be proven wrong. Like, people are just going to believe it, and like no matter what things actually look like, they will never be unconvinced of it. You know, claims like God is always faithful, God's always good, Jesus will never let you down. But it's like they don't really seem to have a image or picture of what it would actually look like for that to happen. So it's like no matter what happens, they can say, well, that doesn't mean he let me down, or it doesn't mean he forsakes me, or whatever. But I wanted to get more specific into the particular claim of, like, God never forsakes you. Specifically as it pertains to my experience as a former Christian, like while I was a Christian, but then also as a person with autism. Even though I didn't realize it at the time, it's only something I realized pretty recently. They're like, yeah, looks like I'm autistic. So, which now makes a lot of sense about things in my past, specifically with some of the things that I struggled with so much with Christianity and why I ended up deconverting. So yeah, sorry, I just had a little notification pop up on my phone. It totally broke my train of thought. Yeah, but I think, yeah. But anyway, something else I wanted to mention before I get into this. So, things around this topic, I know it can sound sometimes like maybe my anger or frustration or just other strong emotions I have around this. Some people might interpret that as like, well, this is why you deconverted, because you felt hurt, or then people launch into the whole thing. Oh, it wasn't God who hurt you; it was the church, or it was bad teaching or bad theology. Which, that's something else I could do a whole video on. It's like, well, yeah, might not have been God who did it, but he still let it happen. But no, so I don't want people, basically, I just don't want people to interpret this as, oh, I just left Christianity because I was mad at God or whatever. But no, I love Christianity, and for people who know my story, if not, yeah, I shared it in other places. Yeah, let me know if you want to hear more. I can point you to it. Specifically, there was an episode on the humanity I did last summer. It's called Doubting Tommy. If you want to dig deeper, it's like 3 hours long, but it was fun, and goes into all the things. Damn, this is already longer than I was expecting the whole thing to be, and I haven't even gotten to the topic yet. Have I mentioned I'm autistic? ADHD as well, probably. Yeah, all that to say, like, I love Christianity just because it just stopped making sense, and I just literally just didn't believe it anymore. And then since then, now that I'm looking back on things, I'm seeing how things maybe did some damage, or like now, like, caused me to be upset, just in the sense of like, I was trying to make myself believe this stuff, even though it was like really difficult, and I felt guilty that it wasn't making sense for so long. But now I'm realizing it wasn't even real, and there was no reason to feel guilty or shameful about it or anything. Yeah, so now, and like I said, in the aftermath, there's definitely some hurt and some frustration, anger, even in some things, but really more just in the faith itself and yeah. But again, that's not why I deconverted. But anyway, um, because when people try to approach it, like, oh, well, tell me what bad teaching or bad theology or bad church experience hurt you, and then as if they can say, oh, I can fix it for you. Because a lot of people are probably expecting answers like, oh, it's like I didn't like the teachings on hell, or why gay people are sinful and bad, or like how, at least in America, the church seems to be kind of in bed with like the Republican Party and Christian nationalism. They think, oh, I can explain all that away, but I mean, obviously, like to me, all those things are issues and problems. But when people ask me, well, what was the teaching that really hurt you, or did the most damage to you, or was more harmful, or whatever, and I say, that teaching for me would be Jesus loves you and wants a relationship with you. So, what you got for that? Because as a person with autism, trying to have relationships with just like in real life people that I actually can see and interact with, like that can be difficult enough. Also, speaking of which, if you want to know more on this, our show, The Humanity, this last week we did a whole episode on Christianity and autism. So if you want to hear us dig more into that and check that video out, this is some of the things I touched on in there as well. But yeah, so as hard as it is for me as a person with autism to relate with real people, then now you're telling me, okay, I need to relate to this being that I can't see, can't hear, can't really perceive directly in any real way, but I need to have this relationship with them. And not just a relationship, it needs to be the most important relationship in my life. It needs to be better, deeper, more fulfilling than any other relationship I have with any like real person. And then even on top of that, at least the way I was taught growing up, and I think it seems to be most Christianity, at least here in the States. I know, like I said before, I see and recognize my universalist friends, used to be one myself, but when you add the idea of, oh, and if you get this relationship wrong, if you don't believe the right things about it, you're going to go to hell for eternity. That kind of messed me up because I spent my whole life basically, almost all of it, just in almost constant fear. Like, what if I'm not getting this relationship right? Like, I'm not having these experiences that I'm seeing all these other people in my life have. Like, I don't seem like I have the confidence in this relationship that I really know God. Like, this isn't making sense. And again, at the time, not knowing I was autistic, I thought all this isn't making sense, like, was my fault. Like, that meant there was something wrong with me. But now, realizing, no, this is just the way my brain works. So, to kind of tie this all together, after almost 9 minutes, so I want to look at the claim, God never forsakes you. And how can you falsify that? Or how do I feel like my experience kind of shows an example of being forsaken, even though like we've never used the term, probably. We usually say things like feeling left out or abandoned, even, maybe. So, because I'm told the situation is God wants this kind of relationship with me, but apparently just the way my brain works makes it harder for me to form that relationship. So my question is like, well, why would God make me this way if he wants to have this level of a relationship that is just more difficult for my brain to do? And I guess maybe one objection people might, or response they might have to that is say, well, the way your brain works, it's faulty because this is a fallen world because of sin. And I'm like, if you want to tell me that like the autistic brain is like sinful or the result of sin or anything, like, I got a suggestion for what you can go do. And I'll just give you a hint. It's not go hug yourself. But that aside, because oftentimes when I talk about it in these terms, again, this was before I even realized I was autistic. Like the accusation I would actually get more often was like, "Oh, you're just thinking too Western. Like you're wanting too much proof and evidence. You're supposed to just be comfortable with the mystery and how, like, beyond our perception is God being above us and so mysterious is kind of a beautiful thing." But to me, like, it's kind of fucking not, because again, the way my brain works, I want, especially when it comes to a relationship like this with so much at stake, like I would like some kind of assurance. But if God made me in such a way that my brain can't handle that kind, or can't make sense of that kind of relationship, if that's not being forsaken, then what is? Because I feel like in any other situation, if things were set up in this way, like by design, by one of the parties involved, like we would absolutely say, like, again, we may not use the word forsaken because most people just don't use that word, I guess. So an example, I guess going back to a video a couple weeks ago talking about hell, I guess I'll go back to the example of having a party. So say, like, you're invited to a party, but once you get there, like from the start, like everything at the party is all stuff that is just things that for whatever reason you just really don't want to or don't know how to or just can't really participate in. Say, for instance, like you're vegan, but you get to the party and like literally all the food that's out is meat or other like animal products. So you like literally can't eat anything. And the person throwing the party knew full well that you were vegan, invited you, could have, like it was completely within their power to have some vegan friendly food options, but just didn't do any of it. And then throughout the evening, like all the activities they're doing are games or whatever that you just don't know how to play and they're not explaining it to you, or all their conversations are involving references to like TV shows or movies that you've never seen, books you've never read. Maybe even at some point, like a lot of people at the party are like bilingual, like they speak English and Spanish, but you don't speak a word of Spanish, and they just start having conversations in Spanish without telling you what they're talking about. Like anyone would say yes, like obviously this person has been left out or forsaken in terms of being involved in the party. But then when I tell people that this is what it feels like as an autistic person trying to relate to God in the way that it looks like I'm supposed to, it's a way that just does not make sense to how my brain works. And people tell me, "Oh, but you aren't forsaken." Like, how am I supposed to believe that? Because again, like you have to have something falsifiable. If you're going to make a claim that God never forsakes you, you need to be able to say, this is what it would look like for God to forsake you. And if it doesn't look like what I've just described, then what the hell would it look like? What else am I supposed to call what I'm experiencing? Like, how else am I supposed to feel about it? So yeah, if I'm not forsaken, who is? So, wow. And here I thought this was going to be a shorter video than last time. I'll see what I can do about the next one. Maybe cutting it down. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, hopefully I'll be doing these more often. Might be a Sunday morning thing. Who knows? All right. So yeah, thanks for watching all of this. If you did, again, always love to know your thoughts about this stuff. Just hear some feedback. See, like, yeah, if I'm wrong about something, please let me know. Also, I'd like to hear if the opposite, if I maybe made you see something differently, that'd be cool. If you'd let me know that too. All right. All right, rambling enough. Have a good time. Have a good time or a good day. See you. Have a good time. See you next day.